I decided to spend the weekend camping beside a small, secluded lake. It wasn't meant to be anything extraordinary, just a couple of peaceful days surrounded by nature, unwinding. The first day went exactly as planned. I arrived, set everything up, and spent the day and night relaxing. The spot was pretty remote. There was a narrow trail leading to it, but it wasn't listed on any online maps, so only a few locals probably knew about it. My dad used to bring me here when I was little. Over all the years I've come, both with him and later on my own, I've never once run into another person here. Honestly, there weren't even any traces of other visitors. On my second day, I spent most of it walking around the lake, just thinking. I must have circled it 3 or 4 times. Everything felt peaceful and quiet during those walks. But on one of my loops, I noticed something odd, footprints in the dirt right at the edge of the tree line. I'd walked that path repeatedly, and I hadn't seen them before. They were in plain sight, so I doubt I could have missed them. They looked freshly made, too. What really unsettled me was that they weren't made by shoes, they were barefoot tracks. That part of the lake didn't offer easy access to the water, so it wasn't like someone took off their boots to go swimming. And I never saw anyone actually in the lake. The whole thing creeped me out. Why hadn't I seen anyone? Were they hiding, watching me? The thought made me uneasy. The footprints led up to the tree line, like someone had been standing and watching the lake, then turned and walked straight back into the woods. I wasn't about to follow them into the forest. Instead, I returned to my camp and kept an eye on the trees surrounding the lake, hoping to catch sight of someone. But I never did. As evening came, that uneasy feeling grew. There was just something wrong about those tracks. Knowing someone else had been nearby, and possibly still was, made it worse. When it got dark, I fed the fire with more wood and sat close to it. I tried to distract myself, but it wasn't easy. Part of me felt justified in being nervous, while another part thought I was probably overthinking it. But not too far into the night, I heard footsteps coming from the trees. I turned immediately toward the sound. It wasn't just one set, it sounded like 2 people slowly approaching. I stared into the dark until they stepped into the light. A man and a woman stood side by side, just outside the campfire's glow. I couldn't make out their faces or even guess their age, just their silhouettes. I asked, "Can I help you?" The woman suddenly turned and ran back into the woods without a word. The man stayed. He didn't move or look after her. That's when I looked down and realized he was barefoot. There was no doubt these were the people who left those tracks. I asked again if I could help him. He didn't respond, but eventually turned and calmly walked back into the trees. That was the breaking point for me. It felt unreal, like a nightmare. I packed up immediately. I don't stick around when things get weird. Luckily, my gear was easy to dismantle, and I was ready to go in minutes. I had no idea where those people went, and I didn't want to be there if they came back. I kicked the unburned logs from the fire so it would die down, then started my hike back. It was nearly a 2-hour walk. The first 10 minutes were nerve-wracking. I kept wondering if I was being followed. But the farther I got, the calmer I felt. Then, around 40 minutes in, the woods went silent, not even bugs or birds, when I heard someone running nearby. It sounded like a person, maybe 100 feet away, but I couldn't see anything. I kept moving. A few minutes later, I heard it again, this time on the other side of me. The footsteps were softer than they should have been, and I realized they were barefoot. I was sure it was the same man and woman from earlier. If they'd followed me this far, who knew what they wanted? For a while, I kept hearing brief bursts of running, like they were quietly shadowing me, then dashing off. That walk was the most terrifying experience I've ever had. Somehow, I made it back to my truck. I got out of there as fast as I could. I wish I had answers, who they were, what they wanted, but I don't. Sometimes I wonder if they were even alive. I honestly don't know. And I'm not sure I want to. I've never gone back.